Welcome everyone to another episode of the Big Brain MMA podcast. I'm your host, BigSteve, like always, uh, full-time MMA gambler from down under. Episode 78, UFC Vegas 75, Vettori versus Cannonier. Sneaky good card, actually. Really good fights. For a fight night, we've had some bad ones recently, so looking forward to this, and more bets than usual for me. Uh, Even though I am a little bit deflated, I lost Tony Barcelos this morning, and Felipe Bunez. So it kind of reminds me of that pay-per-view card where we had Werner Jandiroba and Kennedy and Chukwu and lost Macapa over Zalgas. Zalgas has a bloody witch spell on all the fighters that are just he's making them pull out. And also had Santos over Johnny Muniz Jr. had a much better line. So I still have a bunch of plays here, so we'll see how we go. And I have a lot of regionals. So last week I felt a bit bad. It was the quickest podcast I ever did. Was moving house. So yeah, see if I can, give you a little bit more for this podcast. I am moved now. This is just a temporary place, so hopefully there's no issues with the internet or anything. So yeah, we'll do a quick little review and then we'll get through to it. So last week there was no best bets. I didn't want to say the couple of bets that I had were my favorite bets because I just couldn't, you know. I'll be doing that from now on. I'm not just going to say they're best bets because they're my only two bets if I'm not confident in them. But I did have a little stab on Steve Erceg, which I mentioned on the podcast. That hit. I'm really happy with that. A little stab on Jasmine Jasdovicius. In hindsight, it should have been a much bigger play. I'll let the tape cloud my judgment. I knew Maverick. I've been fading Maverick constantly, so that should have been a no-brainer. Dodged a couple of minefields in, Blake Builder, Iori. I did have Chris Curtis at $2.50 right before the fight started. Waited for the best line. Don't mind that no contest. I could have been saved. You never know. There was still half of round two, but yeah, no contest there. Pass, nothing on the Denige. Dodged the bullet there. Feel sorry for the people with the KO line. I did have the Fugit Malot under. So after Erceg and after Jasmine and after Mike Malot under, I was at about 1,900. And I was really surprised to have that much on this card. And I did have Dariush. I mentioned on the podcast that I really didn't feel good about. Halfway through the card, I reduced it to half a unit. And then as the card went on and I was almost at 2,000 profit, I was like, you know what? I don't even want to lose half a unit on Dariush. Like, I'm happy with this profit. I hit two big dogs. Let's just leave it at that. And I just had the worst feeling. And I cashed out and I played Charles Oliveira round 3 KO, which is annoying because his actual KO was $6, plus 500. So a little bit greedy there. I lost $100 there. But yeah, massive value in Charles by KO. And then I knew Nunes was going to smash him, and I played some same game parlays. One takedown, fight stats round two, and then messed up with Nunes sub. I should have just said Nunes money line for plus money. So I lost $100 there. I lost $100 on Charles KO round three, $100 on Nunes same game parlay, which dropped me down to 1,700. Over the moon with that. Really tough card. Just had a couple of quarter unit bets on the dogs. But yeah, very happy. The month is trucking along well. I think we're on $4,000 profit for the month with really, really hard cards to bet. And, having the worst card of the year on KSW. It was $3,000. That's only 2 units for me, but I don't usually lose 2 units. That's the way I bet. Very disciplined, very, very selective with my picks. And that KSW, I lost like 3 or 4 bets and won one. So that was rare. So happy to turn that around and be in profit still for the month. So we move on. Let's get through this card. Let's start with Modestas Bukauskas, Zach Pauga. No, I didn't tape this. I didn't tape this fight. As I mentioned, there's always 1 or 2 fights I try not to tape. And look, I'll get to this because I see some people saying there's value in Pauga, but he's 35 years old. He's mostly a boxer, and I definitely did not want to retape that Jordan Wright fight again. I hate the guy. I've never been a fan of Modestas either. I played him against Pedro, but Pedro's got his own issues. He's gassy, and that was a big dog shot. Now he's a massive favorite. Which this could be a lot closer. So, past I want to talk about it. I will look into it though. I see some people saying there's value in Paga. Maybe 3 people asked me before the podcast started, so that's enough for me to look into it. Ronnie Lawrence, Daniel Aguera. Now this one, I taped this one way more than I wanted to, just because a very popular fight in my Discord. Um, people are laying juice on Lawrence. Other people are laying the dog money on Aguera. First initial thought was, Aguera will pass. I know Ronnie Lawrence very well. I played him as a massive dog against Jose Johnson on Contender. And then I laid the juice against him on him against Cachero. People were saying, "Oh no, you can't lay the juice." And I was like, "Man, this guy's special, right?" And even then, he got cracked a couple times by Vince Cachero. And then after that, I was just I've been careful. I didn't want to play the juice against Mana Martinez just because of how his striking's in and out. It's very technical. A lot of layers to it. He can switch. He throws a spinning back kick that he just does way too much. I don't like it. But yeah, his hands are low, and he comes in with his hands low, and he's there to be countered. Cachero cracked him a few times. Jose Johnson did. Mana Martinez we saw in round 3, and then Cacramano just showed those levels to the wrestling game, and Cacramano is a beast. Aguera, doesn't is nothing special. I see a lot of people fighting him because they think he's bad, and I get that, but you can't ignore his grit, his cardio, his wrestling. Um, it's a bit like people fading Chase Hooper, right? Just because he looks bad, but you can't ignore the same things that he has. He will keep coming. He's got the cardio. He's got the scrambling. Yeah, ultimately I couldn't get a read. I don't want to play Dan as a massive dog, uh, only because I think Lawrence could be, in terms of technical ability, he will get takedowns and he does have the better striking. But I don't want to lay the juice on Lawrence because I do have issues with him. He usually has issues making weight. I don't like his defense. His control is abysmal. So I don't see either of these guys controlling each other. So I see a scrambling fight where it's be back and forth and both have good cardio. Dan Aguero's dropping down to bantamweight, which he was a champion in LFA bantamweight. Won 5 rounds with Diego Silva. So yeah, but then in the other fight, with Ricky Tercios at bantamweight, he also gassed a little bit from all the scrambling. So it's a pass fight for me. I can't get a read. The overs are juiced, and maybe I'll look to live bet Aguero, see how he's handling the Lawrence cardio and the wrestling. Teresa Blade, Gabriela Fernandez. Now this one, it seemed like a bit of a smash spot, right? Blade is going to wrestle. Gabriela Fernandez is awful takedown defense. I'm a little bit annoyed I didn't play Jasmine against her, but one of my close friends had a big bet on Fernandez that steamed that line, and then I had that in my mind. I don't want to fade him. But yeah, Teresa Blade up. She's not really worth this line in general. She's young. I faded her as a massive favorite in the Contender Series against that Maya, who's really bad, but she was a black belt. And, look, Maya got on top in round 1. She got on top in round 2. And, that could have been a 29-28 if Maya wasn't an idiot and let her up. And then decided to play guard herself. Yeah, she's good. Blade is good, but, she's a little bit hittable. She's plotting. She's gassy. She obviously cuts a lot of weight because she's a massive girl. She's very physical. And she will sell out for the takedown. I think Natalia Silva has elite takedown defense. And in that fight, it took her about half the round of just constant wrestling, and she even got reversed. And in the end, she hit a takedown on Natalia Silva. She got judo thrown, and she rolled through it. So that shows me she's not going to give up on the takedown. And I don't think Fernandez has that kind of level of takedown defense. So I think, it's still a dog or pass for me because I can't trust Blader at this line, even though she has those advantages. There's no doubt that Gabriela Fernandez is improving. Like, she had a lot of defense against Jasmine. I think her best defense is against the cage, and then Jasmine's is also against the cage, her best takedown. So the physicality of Fernandez helped her out a little bit. But yeah, I'm just going to live bet this one. I can't play Fernandez because I think she's going to be on her back in the first round. Pretty highly likely. And I also think it's going to be easier than the takedown that she hit on Natalia Silva. So Blader potentially won't be as gassed. And even round 2 against Natalia Silva was very close to going Natalia Silva's Blader's way. It's just that Natalia Silva has that elite takedown defense and cardio, and she did more damage. So, Fernandez, I feel like she's a risk of falling over at any point. So it's a dog or pass. I will look to live bet Fernandez if Blader's gassing. The under is, you know, not bad at all. The under's quite decent plus money. I thought I would love it. After tape, you kind of like understand why it's such plus money. You can kind of see Blader sitting in her guard for 3 rounds. But Blader does have really, really good and aggressive ground and pound, and she's got good subs as well. She'll go for triangles, she'll fall off, mount to go for triangles, so she does look for finishes. She's got power on her feet too. And Fernandez has power too, even though she's kind of like a point fighter. Her best strike is the body kick. But she's also hit a guillotine in the LFA fight, and Teresa Blader loves putting her neck in guillotines. So, bunch of ways this fight could end. It could also be a tilting decision of Blader just sitting in her guard and laying on top and just getting picked apart while gassed and not finished. But I'll have to see into it, and it's big minus money plus money, so you could get a play out of me. Alrighty. Let's address the comments. Big Steve's dad, hello dad. You should go back to work. Your favorite viewer is back. George the man. Sup Steve, let's make this money. Let's do it, mate. Let's do it. Make this money even though they took my boy Bruno's out. Beverly Hills Ninja is the man, maybe. Blader has 8 minutes of cardio. She does, but she can still get her wrestling off. It's just she pushed a very big pace against Natalia Silva. Live from the dungeon. Not today, mate. The lighting is better. Come on, give me credit. This is natural lighting, boys. Next to the window. All right, next fight. Carlos Hernandez, Dennis Bonda. Interesting line movement on this one. Personally, I would now play Carlos Hernandez. He's a good fighter. His main weakness is his athleticism and takedown defense. But Dennis Bonda, I still have questions. Whether is he a fraud? Is he not a fraud? I had the same questions in his debut against Malcolm Gordon, and you know what? That just kind of makes me lean towards him being a fraud, getting finished by Malcolm Gordon of all people. And you can say that was a freak injury. But then again, he put himself in a deep sub, and he also got cracked by Malcolm. So yeah, ultimately, I get why people are playing the dog shot on Bonda. Even if I had that line, I still wouldn't have played it from tape. I just feel like it's slim margins, $2.10. I get Bonda will get a lot of takedowns. He doesn't have the best control, and Carlos Hernandez has amazing get-ups. I watched his loss to the little meatball wrestler back in the day, and I mean it was 30-27, but there was no damage done. He got up every single time. That was in 2017, 6 years ago. Right, so yeah, I mean he's gonna keep getting up. Bonda, I watched his fight against his bum. They went to round 3 just to see his cardio if he's gonna gas, and he will keep shooting. But if he is a fraud, then Carlos Hernandez should expose him. Carlos had Barraz's back at one point. He hit him with a flying knee in round 1. Like this is gonna be a scrap. Dennis Bonda is not just gonna put on a wrestling clinic and just blanket him. Right, so at this point, I'll take Carlos Hernandez. He's someone that's going to get up, have the better striking. Jiu-jitsu, I'm not too sure. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's got great back takes. And, so does Bonda. So I don't think he's just a wrestler. But yeah. I kind of lean Hernandez now. Maybe live bet. I might even play it pre. I don't know. I kind of like this play. But I haven't locked anything in. As for the under's a sneaky play here. The under is similar to the Fernandez fight, $2.50 for the under 2.5, $2.25 for doesn't go. If people really think Dennis Bonda is a fraud, I can see Hernandez, subbing him rear naked choke. Malcolm subbed him, and he's been subbed every other time. Zifa Shang, rear naked choke, 2016, a while back. But yeah, and Carlos Hernandez has been subbed himself. Yeah, Nascimento is a beast. But he had his back taken against Daniel Barras as well, and he got rocked multiple times, and he gives his back up to stand up. He says he's improved that since the Nascimento fight, but yeah, it's a big plus money line, so we'll see. What are these comments saying? Bonda, fraudulent vibes. His topology full of fighters with no profile pick. Yeah, he also beat Steve Erceg 4 years ago, but Steve Erceg, someone you can see is improving fight to fight. Who knows how bad he was back then? Uh, I don't know about Bonda. Hello, GRBK. UFC betting experience. Carlos is going to tell us. Big Steve. Anyone going to war and barely winning against Altamirano is no bueno. Well, mate, who knows how Dennis Bonda will do against Altamirano? Who knows? Because he's never faced anyone even as good as Altamirano, to be honest. How is the over? The over's juiced. 245. Can't find tape on that Usyk fight. It was a tournament thing. Yeah, look, Usyk, you can tell that Usyk is not physical. They might not have the best wrestling as you watch his Eternal MMA fights. So I'm sure 6 years ago it was even worse. So, and who knows? It's probably like some amateur shit. All right, Dennis Kang, Christian Canones. Interesting fight. I thought I would like Kang. Can see like a close striking fight where Kang might grapple. He's got nice jab. He beat Dana Bakary in a striking fight, and even that was close. I thought he lost. Ultimately, I think Christian Canones is younger. He sits on his punches more. I've seen him go 5 rounds striking. He's going to have the bigger moments. Even if he gets taken down, if you look at Christian Canones' regional tape, he's actually wrestling a lot. He's wrestling and he's got a rear naked choke, and it doesn't have a rear naked choke. He's got punches from dominating this guy on the ground. Victor Hugo Madrigal, probably one of the best dudes on the regional Mexican scene. He rear naked choked him in round 3. He just kept taking that guy down. He wanted to go into his guard, and he escaped 2 tight arm bars. I just posted it on my Twitter. Yeah, so I think and that was back in 2018, so 5 years ago. He would have been 22. I think he actually has decent jiu-jitsu as well. He went into the pit with Madrigal, probably a little bit of bad IQ there. And he's fine defending subs up until round 3. A little tidbit: Madrigal actually submitted his brother Teco in his last fight. So Victor Hugo Madrigal, I said, one of the best Mexicans in the regional scenes. He submitted both the Canones brothers being a rear naked choke. So yeah, potentially you can still sign that man if you want to appeal to the Mexican audiences. But yeah, I just think small margins for Kang. He might keep you competitive on the feet. He mostly just jabs. He might get cracked once or twice. I don't think he subs anyone good. Ishihara and Guido Kennedy. When he was on top of Davis, not the greatest fighter, he just let him up. So yeah, I think Canones can strike for 3 rounds. He's got good cardio, and I think he's improving, and I think his power is improving. His boxing is elite. But yeah, I don't want to lay the juice. I think Kang is a solid, well-rounded fighter. But I think his time is coming to an end slowly. So yeah, I think maybe close to accurate. No interest in playing anything, and the overs are quite juiced. I was hoping the overs would be a sneaky spot. Where are we? Let me just double check anyway. Yeah, minus 200 for the 2.5. No thanks. Canones has been finished a bunch. So, all right. Speaking of overs, Jimmy Flick versus Alejandro Costa. I see a lot of people parlaying Costa. I don't think he's the guy. I get fading Flick. He loves to get KO'd if he doesn't get a sub. Loves to cover up and flake out there. And Costa does hit like a truck. But Costa's extremely chinny. He's been dropped like 4 times. I taped every single one of his fights multiple times. He's been dropped like 4 times in the regional Mexican scene, and then he's been knocked out twice, other than those 2 fights. And the second time was by Amir Albazi, which is a massive red flag. Albazi just does not have any punching power, and he just doesn't sit on his punches. He's a point fighter. He got dropped badly in rounds 2, and he got knocked out essentially with 1 punch in round 3. So the dude's chinny. Just for the chinniness alone, I wouldn't be fading Flick at that price. The guy's dangerous. And I see Costa is a black belt. He's got a really mean armbar. He goes for it from everywhere. But he doesn't. A lot of people get out, and these are Mexican bums. So, yeah, he's a bit stiff and he's a bit slow. And, yeah, he could be low volume. So that's a loan for me not to look to fade Jimmy Flick with this, Mexican dude that's kind of okay, nothing special. Yeah, the under, on the other hand, I actually think maybe Flick might have some value. I look at the tape and he's got a nice double when he locks his hands against the cage. He double legged Charles Johnson, who has good decent takedown defense. If he gets in deep on you, he'll take you down. Even though he's not very physical, there's a big physicality gap here, big power gap. But yeah, man, I'm not rushing to fade. Put Costa in parlays and whatnot. I think it's a bit of a volatile fight. The under's improved a bit. It's minus 200 now. Um, yeah, I definitely did want to play the other. Someone asked me if it was a parlay piece. It was the same price as the Mike Malott fight, but I didn't feel as confident. Um, yeah, but it's improved now. People are playing the overs. Costa, despite having massive power, he's going over with a lot of these Mexican bums. You can say the Mexican bums are, they've got the Mexican chins, but still, he cracks him and they just survive, and he's not able to finish his armbar, and he does get dropped a lot too, so potentially Flick can drop him and maybe he can survive. So I don't know. The under is also quite juicy, and you see, Jimmy Flicks a lot of the time he gets KO'd. The Chris Gutierrez fight, Levi Moles. Uh, yeah, a lot of these are like over, and even when he gets the sub, the Johnny Bedford's the over 2.5 rounds. Nate Smith over 2.5 rounds in Contender Series. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like stuff is kind of accurately lined in this fight. But yeah, it's I wouldn't be playing the minus money on Costa. He's not that great. All right, we got a lot of comments. GRBK age gap is kind of big here. I assume that's Quinones. I agree. Herb Dean is the over safe or too much danger from Quinones. Never mind addressed. Yeah, Quinones is dangerous. Also have questions about his chin too. Would rather play the under 2.5 than Costa. I agree. If I had the choice, definitely would not be laying the juice on Costa. Either of these dudes should be finished. It should. On the day, I'll probably play it. Let's be honest. I love hammering these spots on the day of the fights on the Discord. Flick by KO 21. That might get my money. Or flick by sub. What's flick by sub? Can someone tell me? Big flick KO'd 5 times. Yeah. Common sense stuff. Alrighty, let's move on. Muslim Salikov, Nicholas Dalby. I'll tell you what. I really avoided this fight. I hate Nicholas Dalby. I hate the way he fights. But yeah, I left kind of thinking maybe I want to play him here. And then I did Muslim Salikov tape, and I know he's old and he looks decrepit and he's looking gassed halfway through the round one. But then I taped him properly, and I'm like, this guy's still dangerous, man, for a 40-year-old. I thought he lost to Zaleski, but then Zaleski, a lot more dangerous, a lot more fluid and fast. I thought Trinaldo was winning rounds, and then he would get bonked, rounds 2 and 3 and 1. I faded him against Lee. Lee had the power, and Lee was losing. And Fiala looked to have some adversity in round 1, and then just kicked the absolute shit out of Fiala in rounds 2 and 3. So this almost 40-year-old is still dangerous. But yeah, when I initially taped Darby, I'm like, all right, this he fights like a woman. He does the karate style. Got not much power whatsoever. A lot of kicks, blitzes in with the 1-2s, Holy Home style. And, he mixes in clinching and roughs you up against the cage. Doesn't even have any good takedowns. Just holds you up against the cage to get minutes. That stuff works, He's got the cardio. He's got the hustle. He beat Alex Oliveira with that. He beat Daniel Rodriguez with that. Valdi Alves. I had Alves as a decent underdog there, and he was a split. So I don't mind that play. I thought Alves looked horrendous. But yeah, he was still getting cracked in that fight, Dalby. He's getting cracked a lot, and his chin held up. He's quite hittable. I just feel like Salikov will be low volume and be bouncing around, and he'll be waiting to counter Dalby, and he needs big moments to win his fights. And he gets them. He gets a lot of big moments. In almost every fight, he gets 2 or 3 big moments. Only against Zaleski, he didn't, and he almost lost that fight. And obviously, he didn't against Jing Liang. So, Nicholas Dalby does get dropped a lot, even though he has a good chin. But yeah, I kind of felt like I liked that play. I didn't think I would, and then I was taping, and I was like, maybe I just play this number. I'm surprised he's still minus 200. Salikov, 39-year-old. The only problem is, Dalby doesn't really have the power to put it on him like these other guys. Um, but yeah, I'm I don't know. I like it. I don't mind the play. I haven't played it yet. Maybe someone in the Discord that's Danish said he'd rather live bet him. My only issue with that is, I mean, the longer the fight goes, the more dangerous Salico becomes, even when he looks tired. So I don't know about live bet here personally. Um, if anything, Dalby probably has the best round one. But yeah, and the overs are juiced here again, so it's just a lot of minus 200 over 2.5 rounds. Alrighty, dogger past that. Let's move on. David L. Let's go Dalby. Let's go indeed. I think it's one of these fights that comes down to round two. I expect Muslim to win round one and Dalby to round three when he slows down. Yeah, maybe, man, maybe. It's a volatile, tough fight to get a read on. Pass fight, but not going the distance is 2.2. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're only relying on Salikov there. Might as well play Salikov finish. What's good, bro? Listening to this on the way to training, but I'm gonna make sure to run this back after. Abraham Khan, I don't remember you, man. My friend, if you're new, welcome. Thanks for listening. Lou Betcher, plus 3.5 for Dalby, still on the board. Not bad. A little bit too much juice. I feel spoiled after getting, Pickham and on Erseg and plus money on Jasmine. Yeah. Got a feeling Salikov puts him on a highlight reel, but no play. Yeah, it's tough. Small margins for Darby, but he's winning. Alrighty. Nicolas Mota, Manuel Torres. You know what? I didn't take this one in depth. Only taped a couple fights. I know a lot about these dudes, and I just played the under 1.5, and I gave it on the Discord. So hopefully, when I tape it in depth, I'm not going to regret it. But I mean, the line's been steamed now. It was $1.80, almost pick 'em. I waited for it to open up on Bet365. It was a lot better on Bet Online. And yeah, got half a unit on $1.80 and half a unit on $1.76. So happy with that. I mean, if this goes over, so be it. In terms of the money line, I mean, yeah, Torres is a bit juiced, but I understand it. I think he's a lot more durable. Moto's quite chinny. I've seen him hurt. He gives me flaky vibes. That's why I could never play him as a favorite. But he's a dog here, so it's a different scenario. But if I was going to play Moto, I'd rather just live bet him. I think round one from Torres, man, that's it's going to be hard for Moto to get past that round, especially if he decides to brawl with him. And yeah, Torres is happy to eat punches on his head to counter, and he's got big long hands, and he's got some mean whip on his punches, man. So yeah, I'm just playing the under here, and I wouldn't be opposed to hammering the under 2.5 as well. Although Torres mostly gets finished via subs, so we'll see. Yeah, the under 2.5 took a bit of steam, but it's still $1.33. It's not bad. I specialize in hammering those ones. But yeah, let's move on to a play that I actually have. Pat Sabatini, Lucas Almeida. So I have a play here on Lucas Almeida. I didn't think I would like it because I remember Lucas getting taken down a lot. I got reverse CLV'd, which usually doesn't happen. It bothered me a bit. But I just added more, and money has to come back on Almeida. Surely I'm not the only one seeing there being value in Almeida, right? But then again, I've been fading Sabatini from the start. I faded him. I did fade him reluctantly against Emmers. I wish I didn't do that one, just because Emmers' IQ. Emmers dropped him and then jumped into a heel hook. I think I reluctantly faded him against Tucker Lutz. That was the period in 2021 when I was getting convinced. I was getting convinced by people that I respect. Didn't fade him against TJ. I think, but if you look at his fights, man, he's got issues in every single fight. Right, he's dropping round 3 to Tristan Connolly. Tristan Connolly's out here now in the regionals, on the BFL regionals, getting soundly beat by Xavier Nash, who got 50-45 for the BFL title fight. He gassed in that one. He got dropped by Emmers. Tucker Lutz, he couldn't finish Tucker Lutz. Had some issues, later in round 3. We see Tucker Lutz is horrible. He lost position going for a guillotine there. TJ Laramie, man, that fight, I think I had him in a parlay, and that fight, he's doing flaky stuff in round 1, dropping down for guillotines, pulling guard, and then he steals the round with a teep to the gut. And then round 2, the same again. He's getting reversed, and had a lot of dominant time in back takes. And then round 3, bit of flakiness again. And finally, the fade comes in when Damon Jackson knocks him out. So I think he's got issues, man. He's got issues with the chin. He's got flaky issues. You know, for someone who's got really elite, black belt Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, I don't think he's that dangerous. You know, he's got a lot of decisions. He's a bit of like a decision merchant. He's good when he gets on the back, but even then, um, so people get up a lot from him. He's very relentless with the cage push. But people can stand up on him. And Almeida, the reason I played this, according to John Anik, he's a credentialed black belt, which I didn't know. But if you tape him, I taped a lot of his fights, even going back to 2015, just to see what kind of jiu-jitsu he has. He's got a bunch of subs back in the day, and yes, he can be taken down. And the worst thing is, he does give his hips to people. They easily back him up against the cage. But he seems comfortable with the overhook, and he seems the most comfortable there when it comes to defending takedowns. He spent a bit of time against Trezano there. Trezano couldn't take him down. Maybe Trezano's not the best wrestler, but he's wrestled people before. Yeah, so he seems comfortable there. He seems comfortable that if he's against the cage, he won't be taken down. And he's just super aggressive, really good power, uh, just a ferocious Muay Thai guy. I see improvement in him as well. He's 32, he's in his prime. Um, you've seen some of his fights where he's going for a deep half reversal off the bottom. That told me, all right, this guy actually has some jiu-jitsu chops. And then um, John Anik actually confirmed there was a black belt. I didn't have to look into it. I think Daniel Zellhuber, 29-28 decision loss on Contender, is aging well. That was when Zellhuber actually wanted to fight. I think some of those bombs that Zellhuber ate in round one would put Sabatini out cold. So yeah, I get it. It's one of those fights. He will be taken down. Um, Ultimately, I played it because I think Almeida can survive. So he will be taken down just because Sabatini is relentless unless he gets sparked. He will be taken down. I feel like he will get up. He will survive, and he will be doing that for 3 rounds. So ultimately, I think there's going to be a bit of value on the dog because he's always going to be throwing. He's going to be fighting for your money, and he's always going to be live to get a KO. Whether he catches Pat in round one, or whether Pat slows down in round three and he catches him in round three because he carries power late. So that's why I played him. Uh, yeah, just fading Sabatini again, and the money came in on Sab, so it is what it is. This is the one that I will look in again twice. I taped it first Sunday after the event, and sometimes I'm a bit clouded because I just watched and live betted for 5-6 hours. So I'd rather take a break till Monday. But and it's only because I got reverse seal lead, so I want to respect the money coming in. I want to see if I missed anything, but I don't mind the play. Lucas Almeida by KO could be good as well. If you think he might not win a decision, because he's getting grappled a lot, he might get backpacked for one round. So I'll look into that as well. Maybe I reduce my stake. But yeah, I'll definitely be playing Almeida at some capacity. You have to. A guy that can knock out Pat in the first round, you have to play him at some point. Here we go. Herb Dean with a good comment. This has Oliveira Dariush vibes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. That's how I feel. A lot of control, but ultimately, the fragile guy gets caught at some point. Alrighty, let's move on. Christian Leroy Duncan, Aaron Petrosian. Amazing fight, man. This is one of the sleep. There's a lot of sleeper fights on this fight night. It's better than some of the last pay-per-view in my opinion. I'll get straight to the point. I think these guys are mostly going to strike. I think Leroy Duncan is going to be special. One of the better Cage Warriors dudes I've signed in a bit. I think he was going to be my countryman Dushko. I didn't understand people playing him as a dog. Dushko wasn't never going to be that guy. Just because he's not physical enough to take advantage of Duncan's takedown defense. But yeah, he's just good everywhere. He's got spinning elbows, flying knees. He's just very dangerous and very unpredictable. Meanwhile, Armin is pretty bread and butter. Good footwork. He'll circle. A lot of kick volume, body kicks, leg kicks, and he's just kind of one-dimensional. But he's worked on his get-ups, and he's got good cardio, and that'll take you a long way. If you can just get up when you get taken down, not get submitted, and rack up the volume and win rounds, it's going to go a long way. And beating Gregory was pretty good. I bet him there as a decent dog just because of the Gregory chin and volume. It was a little bit sweaty, but yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I think he can be a little bit underwhelming. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one to get a read. if they're standing, is how is Duncan going to separate himself against Armin, who's a good striker himself? But I feel like Duncan can go for takedowns. He's got issues with his takedown defense himself, but he reversed Will Curry in their fight. He if he actually wants to, he can go for his own takedowns, and I think he's got good jiu-jitsu, good grappling. It's just he would rather strike, but I think he has this in the back pocket for this fight if he wants to use it. And yeah, I favor him, but it's just I don't know if I want to play this line. Again, another fight that I'll play the over instead, and it's quite juiced. Let me just check. Oh, it's a little bit better, $1.64. But yeah, I mean, Armin's been knocked out before. Duncan can, Duncan can knock people out, man, out of the blue. It's just one of those. I know some people playing the over 1.5 in the Dushko fight again, and I was scared. I was scared he could crack Dushko. He knocked out Will Curry and he dropped him with a spinning elbow in the second fight. So this guy's a finisher, man. I think I'm just gonna watch this fight and see how he handles a decent step up in Armin Petrosian. And I'd rather lay the juice. I'd rather lay the juice on Duncan, um, and just hope that his footwork and his in and out movement and mixing it up can just confuse Armin a little bit. If I was going to play Armin, it would be by decision, honestly. He's just going to kick his way to a decision. Maybe even Christian reload Duncan by decision, $3.50. But yeah, past fight, great fight to watch there. All right, Armin Sarukian, Yaquin Silva. What are you going to say here? A bit of a squash match. I got out of bed. To play the under 2.5 on Bet Online. I'm still getting my head around hitting the lines on Bet Online. It was at midnight. I got up, and it was at 2.5 rounds, and it was a plus money. And I got out of bed, put my fucking pants on, opened the laptop to do it, and they quickly changed it to under 1.5. And I was like, damn it. And then I said, you know what? I'll play that 1.5. So I played the 1.5 at dog money. I know Silva very well. Dude's chinny. He's getting knocked out by Ricky Glenn in rounds one, which that's all that needs to be said. So I played it to like win $600. Not even half a unit. I think it's like a third of a unit to win 600. I'm happy with that. I mean, it's still a one under 1.5. I get in a fight where one of the guys is a grinder, Armin. So yeah, that's all I have. And I have him in some stupid parlays, with a Ratulo on 1FC, which I didn't even give to the Discord. It's just some Dagon stuff. But yeah, you tape Armin and you kind of don't want to play the unders because you see him, grapple Demir and Gamrod and for 5 rounds, and the Alvarez fight's almost going over, and the Frivola. But then you tape Silva and he's just getting put out by Ricky Glenn, getting put out by Nazrat with one punch. Nazrat's a decision machine usually. Getting hurt by Jared Gordon twice in round one, pillow fisted Jared Gordon, and then, getting taken down with ease because he's rocked. So yeah, I think that's all I need to see really. And he was rear naked choked by Janko Franco on tough. So he's extremely chinny. Extremely chinny. And yeah, I'm just going to let that underride. It was a pick'em on Bet365, and that's got Steam too. I mean, that could be the safe play. It's just I don't know. I think I'll just leave what I have. Armin Sarukian round 1 KO is popular. That's gotten a little bit steamed now. Armin by KO. Everything else is steamed. But yeah, you could just. This is the other 2.5, under 2.5 that you can just hammer. I reckon with the Torres motor. What are the chances that Silva survives 2.5 rounds, even if he's getting grinded on and not really getting cracked? But I think he's hard to hold down, and he's explosive, and Silva can throw flying knees. He's dangerous. And Armin, I've seen Armin cracked by Frivola, and if he's going to lose, Armin will lose by getting cracked, that's for sure, one day. But yeah, let's not talk too much about it. Alrighty. Marvin Vettori, Jared Cannonier. This one, I don't have too much to say about this one. This one kind of reminds me of Albazi, Kai Kara France. It's similarly lined. I don't think I'm going to get much value on either side here. Jared with the big moments. I think the big moments kind of equalize here. He's going to have the big punches, the eye-catching punches. Even though Vettori is super durable, it's still going to jolt his head back, kind of what the Leeds did to him. But then on the other side, I think Cannonier is quite a bit more chinnier than Vettori, even though Vettori doesn't hit hard. So we've seen Sean Strickland have some big moments against Cannonier, and Strickland also doesn't hit hard. And this wasn't the Strickland that was throwing haymakers against Imavov. This was the Strickland that was just jabbing. So yeah, it's just a back and forth fight. No take. I know I won't have a take, so I don't want to go too deep into it. The overs are just completely juiced to the tits. Just one of those cards where the overs are all accurately lined, or maybe over juiced. So yeah, could be a live bet fight here. So yeah, don't want to waste time on it. What do we got here? Of course, you got that line. I'll get better at it. I'm happy I've got the minus 1.5 rounds at plus money. David L, putting your pants on. Fuck you. It did. Never put your pants on, kids. But then again, I'm living with my parents for a bit, and I was free balling, so didn't want that to happen. Vettori by KO, possibly. I did lose money on him by KO against the Leeds, small stab. Vettori can't bust the grape. Don't disagree there. He almost did knock out Hermanson. So I know it's safer with decision, but still a KO could be sneaky. Jared kind of old AF. He is, and he's kind of chinny too. BigSteve is that. Establish dominance in your father's home, but not wearing underwear. Well, I think I already did that. Anyway, let's quickly go over it. Modestas Poga, didn't tape it. Dogger pass, I guess. Lawrence Aguera, Dogger pass. I want to live bet it, see how Lawrence and how Aguera looks. Blader Fernandez, Dogger pass. I'll live bet Fernandez. If Blader's looking gassed again, and the under could have my money. Maybe a sneaky Fernandez by sub. Ooh, that's going to be paying good money. Fight ends by KO. We'll see. There's a bunch of ways we could play that one. Dennis Bondam leading Hernandez a pass. Maybe live bet. Maybe the unders are good money here. All fight ends in sub. Cannonier's pass seems to be potentially accurately lined. Costa or flick. Dogger pass or the under at juice. Dalby, Salikov. This one. Dalby by decision potentially. I've got a play on the Torres motor under 1.5. One of my only plays. I've got Almeida against Pepe Sabatini. One of my only plays at dog money. I'll retape it, but I'll definitely be playing him at worst case for half a unit and potentially some KO. Armin, Petrosian, Duncan. I think Petrosian's margins are slim, so I'd rather play the Duncan juice. Armin, Sarukian, Jacqueline Silva. I got the under 1.5 plus money for peanuts. Armin KO, whatever. If you can find a non-juice line. And Jared Cannonier, Vettori pass. Best bets. Sadly, my best bets got pulled this morning. I was going to play the under 2.5 in the Barcelos. I had 2,000 on Rony Barcelos. And I had 1,300 at the $2.50 Felipe Bunes line, man. Zalgas just keeps getting away with. He was going to get smashed by Macapa and he was going to get smashed by Bunes, but it is what it is. We got a lot of regionals this week. All right. I'll give the motor under 1.5 as best bet. And you know what? This week I'll give you Almeida as a best bet too, even before I retaped it. So unlike last week, I had Erteg, I had Dariush, I had Jasmine. I didn't give best bets. But yeah, let's go. Under 1.5 in Torres and Lucas Almeida. Let's go. Calling it. In terms of, I said I'll give some regional bets. Let's go. What do we got? PFL. I have $3,000 on Henan Ferreira, a problema over Shuffle, $1.44 and $1.48, so just under minus 200. Probably shouldn't have gone that big. I'm getting some spooky vibes. People putting money on Sheffield. I don't know how Sheffield is meant to beat Renan Ferreira when he doesn't grapple and he's at a 10-inch reach disadvantage. And he's been knocked out like 2 times in the last year, and he just got knocked out 2 months ago, and he's been knocked out 7 times against guys that hit less hard, like Ante Delija. Yeah, so this just seems like I made a joke that they should book uh, Bruno versus Hennen after Sheffield against Hennen after Bruno knocked him out. I played big overcorrection on that Bruno Capelloza rematch. I played the under 1.5 at plus money. I played Bruno Capelloza. That was just so uh, freaky, that fight when Bruno could knock him out in the first one. Seemed like a bit of a fix. That's the only way I see him beating Ferreira with just some weird shit where Ferreira just doesn't throw for 3 rounds. But I feel like this could be like the Austin and the Jamel Jones fight where he just knocks him out with the first punch in 30 seconds. So yeah, I got 3,000 on Ferreira. I've got like $500 on Ferreira round one. I've got like a unit on the under 1.5. I usually don't go triple dip like this, but I've just played it. I've locked it in, and I'll assess whether I keep it all because it's a lot of investment on that fight. But I'm trying to take advantage of these spots more often. I think Ferreira did look a bit off in 2022, against Klitson Abreu and Ante Delija. Maybe he looked a bit injured, but then again, those guys took him down. Um, in the Razvan Cunha fight, he almost won a decision there. He was on top of Cunha in rounds 2 in mount. He could have thrown punches, but he wanted to go for a sub. He looked a lot better there, and Cunha was juiced out of his mind on all the roids. So yeah, 3,000 on Ferreira, and a bunch of round ones, whatever. Let's quickly go over it as well. Over the card. Come on. I got $300 on Pinston. I wish I got that $3 line. The guy is very slick. He's got good boxing. I regret not playing at least for $100 in that contender series, a challenger series fight. I'm glad he went 3 rounds. He got pushed. Denzel Freeman, he's a good wrestler and he's got cardio and his striking's not bad either. So I think this is a step up for Pinson, but it's also a step up for Freeman. There's questions about Pinston's takedown defense. He stopped that Brazilian dude, but that guy was a bum. So we'll see what happens here. But I just took $300, so I'm not regretting missing out on another low-level dog shot. Julia Barr, these are all just horrible fights. Danilo Marquez is a massive favorite. Jesus Christ. I'll probably play Evelyn Martins over Marina now that it's picking. We'll see. I haven't taped these. I thought I would like Sobek over Aspen Ladd, but she's just a whole lot of nothing on the feet, and she needs the scarf hold, and she couldn't get it against Evelyn Martins, and she just got out wrestled for rounds 2 and 3. So unfortunately, I can't fade Aspen Ladd with her. I think if Aspen gets on top, man, she might get a round 3 finish. Might take a poke there. I played some Larissa Pacheco rounds 1 and under 1.5 blindly. Amber Laybrook, she's dangerous, but she's also a flake. She's been finished a lot in round 1, and she's been hurt a lot in round 1. So Larissa looked a bit bad against Julia Budd, dropping down. Maybe it was the weight cut, first time dropping to featherweight in ages. Usually she's fighting at lightweight for Kayla Harrison. But yeah, this could be a smash spot. So I just locked it in. I'll double check it. In terms of Bellator, let's give you some picks for Bellator too. And then I'll be out of here. All right. So I got Nemkov in a little parlay with the stupid parlay with Rotolo and from ONE FC and Armin. It was just for Dagan stuff, just for fun. He probably gets knocked out for Romero. What do we got? All right, I'm thinking of smashing the under 1.5 in the Jordan Newman fight against Matthew Perry. Newman's probably the worst person with the under 1.5. You never know what he's going to do. Last fight went over because he didn't wrestle. As soon as he wrestled, he submitted the guy. 3 of his 5 wins went over 1.5. I got burned one of the times massively. But I think Matthew Perry, man, this guy, used to be a lightweight, coming off a massive layoff. And I think this is Jordan Newman's hometown. And a plus money. You're getting plus money. I feel like this is a pick'em, right? It's a pick'em. You don't know if Jordan Newman's going to go under or if he's going to go over. His 4th fight was exactly under 1.5, and the other 3 went over and 1 went under. So I feel like it's a pick'em at worst case. maybe it should be favored just because this guy is fighting as a bum. So it's like $2.10 on Bet Online. Maybe it's not now. I don't know. Last night it was, but yeah, I'm playing. I'll probably play the under 1.5 there. I want to play East KO as well, plus money. But he got a sub in his last one. You never know with these bums; they can be finished in any way. Carmo Polizzi, I passed on that fight. Couldn't get a read. I see Polizzi's a favorite pick. I don't know why. I think Moore has better control, better striking, but it's slim margins for him. He's not very athletic, and Polizzi is a bit more of a dog, although he's hittable. So pass fight. I would actually rather play Moore as a dog. Actually, he's bigger. Kogan Sanchez pass. I taped this Nobet Noveja Jr. Camille Onizu, this Polish dude. He seems to be a favorite, a popular dog. He's dangerous. His kicks are very brutal, but he just gasses. He gasses badly after one round. His defense is horrible. I actually think Norbert can spark him with an overhand right or even submit him on the ground. Maybe the under, but it's a bit juiced. Shamil Nikaev, Mike Hamill. Now, this is the main event of Bellator. This is the first fight I taped. I left feeling. I left feeling like maybe it was lined accurately. Hamill was a slight dog. You know, I saw that Shamil had a bit of had a lot of raw talent. You know, he's only 27 years old, and some of the tape that I was finding of him was, you know, when he was like 24, 23. You know, he fought Christos Giagos in 2017, so 6 years ago. So he was 21 years of age, and he beat him. Although he got dropped in round one, he got dropped around round three. I think he got dropped by Cameron Lachimov. So I'm seeing issues with his chin, and you know he's quite gassy, and he's going through like a lot of decisions. So I thought if Hammer was a bigger dog, I'll play him. You know, because he's got the cardio, he's got the grit, he's got the durability, and I don't think either of these guys are going to hold anyone down. I think Nikaev has the better wrestling. He picks up and slams dudes. But even in the Karam Lachimov fight, he gassed badly and lost round three. So that's a red flag for me. So it's two splits and you know 29-28 against Karam Lachimov, who just pressures forward and does nothing. But apparently blew his knee out there too. So and he's now a kill cliff. So it's a fight. You know, I would have taken that massive dog line on Hamill, but then someone smashed it. Someone got there before me. But I don't want to. Yeah, it sucks. So many people I know are on Nikaev, and then other people I know are on Hamill, and they're all very passionate. But I think for me, it's a pass fight. You know, I don't want to underestimate these Russians. They're so young, and they've got raw potential. And even Mike Hamill, his fights are also slim margins. You know, other than that meme against Brown. So yeah, I feel like it's close to accurately lined. Willis, I taped that. I don't know. Despite Willis winning 30-27 against Crutch, I still feel like he will lose a close competitive fight here. But he's at Kill Cliff now. A bit of money's coming on him. I'm not as interested anymore. I'm tossing between this value and the risen value. I feel like Ramzan is good, man. He can compete in the standing. But yeah, I don't know. No hot takes. Kyle Crutchmer versus Bobby Nash. Bobby Nash is decent wrestling. He's a bit shitty. I would rather play Bobby Nash by KO. He's got power, even though Kyle is durable. I don't know. No hot takes. Vladimir Guerrero, Gabriel Sag. I'll take this low-level bullshit because people told me Guevara is a lock, and the under is a lock. I don't know. It's pretty juiced. He almost went over against that other dude that they gave him in Bellator, and the guy is not good at all, and he's like a middleweight. So I don't know how confident I feel about that. Daniel James is my boy. Haven't taped it yet though. I played him in like every fight. Corey Anderson, Phil Davis seems a bit juiced. Haven't taped it, and I haven't taped these other three fights. But yeah, I've got a big bet on Ferreira, 3,000. You know, it could be over in 30 seconds. Unders, Pacheco unders. You know, a bunch of plays in the UFC, and Bellator. Unfortunately, nothing I can really give you other than you know Jordan Newman under, and yeah, I mean Bellator is one of those. It's just one of those. I don't want to force any bets, so I'll just keep taping and see if we can find something. Other than that, yeah, for this week for some reason, Bet365 has decided to give us LFA for the first time, as far as I remember, maybe the second time, and Octagon for the first time ever. So I'm going to be a busy boy. I'm going to try to take advantage of this weekend. Right, my Discord is in the comment section. of this video. It's on my Twitter. I'm always in there. I'm in there 24/7. I'm going to be grinding. I want to make some money this week. So jump in there. There's a lot of sharps in there. A lot of Polish people, a lot of Slovenian people that are experts with octagon, etc., etc. And yeah, just the comments. Kurt, the man. Go gadget profit. Lots of money to be made this week. That's it, mate. Let's go. Got to stay positive even despite losing 2 UFC bets. George, appreciate the bonus picks. No worries, mate. Do what I can for the people. Big Steve's dad. The under is now 1.8. Could still be value, man. Could still be value. Jordan Newman just needs to get out there and finish this dude. And stop playing around with his food in his hometown. GRBK. Corey Anderson by KO. I don't think so, man. Phil Davis is extremely durable. Big Steve's dad. Got to craft the Ryzen Octagon PFL lock parlay. Yeah, there's a few of them. 20 legger. That's it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Jump in the Discord. It's kicking off. It's never been more busy. Hope you appreciate the content, and good luck on your bets.